kind of goes into the next comment. We don't have a killer instinct.
Yep.
I think in some ways, I think this team does, but it just doesn't show up consistently. I don't think they bring it every single game. I think you saw that killer instinct in the NC State game when they in the second half when they finished it, and last week in the Boston College game where Dabo was accused of running up the score by I guess by winning by 28 is running up the score now, but they really finished strong in that second half of the Boston College game. So I think this team has it. It's just about bringing it consistently. It's just kind of they got a little lackadaisical. They got the crowd, because they got the crowd out of it, and they just kind of treated it like it was a scrimmage, and they kind of took their foot off the gas. So just being better about that and finishing and just bringing that attitude. Well, the job's not finished. Game's not over till the clock hits zero. All of that, all those, coach speak platitudes, whatever you want to call it. But they're true. You got to have. In this sport, if you're not giving 100%, the guy across from you that you're going up against will, and he will beat you. So you can't, let up.
What about them running up the score last week? That's kind of understandable why he did it. And sometimes you got to run up the score because you have so many undefeated teams, so you need to have your team stand out. But that's why I said, a lot of teams lost this week. So that might not be an issue this week, but however, you got to put a full game together where you just dominate. That's why I said these guys might just be tired. That I can't remember where I saw it at, but this got to be our latest buy in a very long time.
Yeah, it's not so right.
Yeah, it's after next week, so right before Notre Dame. So yeah, it is coming pretty late in the season, and you're coming off of back-to-back road games, and just you've played your toughest. When's the last time Clemson has played like its toughest division opponents, like almost back to back? Like it, I do think it's a testament to just the strength of the ACC Atlantic this year. It's more difficult than it was the past few years. And it reminds me more of back when, the Deshaun Watson days, 2015, 2016, where, nothing was a given. There were teams within the division that could beat you. And I think that's the case this year. So I do think there's something to that as well. It's just, it's going to be, it's more difficult than it was for past Clemson teams just to run it up and blow everybody out. I just don't think this team is. I think that this team can do it, and you'd like to see them do it if you want to. If you want to be a contender for the playoff, but it is more difficult.
And I know that penalties helped us versus Florida, North Carolina State. I know it helped North Carolina State move the ball down towards the end. But we didn't even finish that game off very well either. I just think like that's a complete game. But like I said, if we look at the Nets after Syracuse, and that you just never know how that game's gonna go. But because I haven't really watched Syracuse play this year, I don't think they're as good as their record say they are. But we just got to put a complete game together.
They're very good.
Yeah. They played a very, very weak schedule. I think I bet on that Purdue game and they ended up winning.
They were lucky to win.
Yeah, real lucky. But their schedule was very, very faulty. I mean, Louisville is not what we thought they were. And I know that's one team they beat, but I think they played I think at the end of the day, when they get through the rest of their schedule, they probably be like 7-6 or something like that. They just fed on people early.
Yeah, I'm with you. John Sarian says, hopefully Swanson has turned a corner. He averaged almost 46 and the long of 54. Yeah, he had a really, really good night tonight.
Yeah, The last 2 weeks were really good by him.
Yeah. Just put a lot more air under the ball, more hang time. That punt that they got inside the five, it bounced right on the one, and it was a perfect backspin on it. That was a veteran punt, and that's the Aiden Swanson we heard about, coming out. He was a really highly recruited, or highly touted punter. So he has it in him. It's just about having that consistency.
Now, what can we do about? I noticed I'm watching a little bit of Florida State game over since there's nothing else to watch. What can we do about the tight end coming in and getting our defensive ends? I think that assisted a lot with our Florida State having positivity on run plays.
Yeah, the tight ends flipping the defensive ends on the way out.
Yeah. A lot of cut blocks, too. That's what I saw, too. On those quick screens, if you go back and watch the first part of the game, it looks like it was hit a bunch of quick screens and a lot of ram blocks with the tight ends.
Yeah, BC did a little bit of that last week. With having an extra time, it wasn't quite in the same way, and I think it was a little bit. It was easier for Clemson to blow that. I think because I think BC's offensive line is just in really poor shape. I thought Florida State's offensive line held up a lot better in this game. Whether you want to attribute it to holding and all that, but they still held up really well considering the circumstances tonight. I'm no defensive mastermind. I don't know what you do. I mean, maybe you send more guys. Maybe there were times where Clemson could have been more aggressive, but it's something that Wes Goodwin I'm sure he's going to look at, because I don't think it'll be you put that on tape and your opponent see the kind of success Florida State had against you running the ball. They might they can try and replicate that. So I'm sure that Wes Goodwin is going to be all over that. But that is something they did, and that was a wrinkle that didn't seem like the defense was prepared for. So,
right. And one thing I'll say this also about Florida State, there was a wounded dog coming into this game. The reason why I say that, they just lost 3 straight, and they still had a chance. And they still have a very hard schedule in front of them. I think they got to play Miami and a couple other teams, Florida, of course, at the end of the year. So I think they were trying to get that out of the way. I'm trying to see this run right here. Let me see what happened. Excuse me.
JR the Gent says definitely need style points. Don't want that eye test to bite us. Yeah. It'd be nice, especially you're getting into the back half of the schedule. College football playoff rankings will be coming out. Do they come out this week or next week? You guys?
Week in November usually.
Yeah. Okay. So more like 3 weeks, I guess.
Second week in November usually. Okay.
So, putting up putting up style points, it would be nice, but you take the wins, and it seems there are opportunities for the teams around you to fall, as we saw today. Obviously Alabama going down, as well as USC just recently. So that'll help. Going about your business is ultimately the main goal, and just winning the games, because I do think if Clemson wins out, they'll be in the playoff. It's just about seeding and all that, which could be important for your success within the playoff. So the style points are important. I don't think it's going to cost Clemson a playoff spot if they win out. But you do want that insurance.
Yeah, be coming up too.
Yeah.
Yeah, style points are definitely a thing when it comes to the college football playoff. And more importantly, you just want to see a team finish a game. The end of the first half and into the second half, we really took control of the game from Florida State. And you really just want to see them finish that kind of game. And we just didn't finish well tonight. I think some of that was play calling. I think some of it was a lackadaisical execution at the second half of the third quarter and into the fourth quarter. It was definitely a lot of things. But at the end of the day, to your point, Jordan, if Clemson wins out, they're going to the playoffs. If they win out, they win the ACC, they're going to the playoffs. I think Clemson could even lose a game and still get into the playoffs. I think we already have some good quality wins on our schedule already. So I don't think it's going to be a problem at all. But yeah, I would have definitely liked to see Clemson finish Florida State tonight instead of kind of opening the door back up and, letting them make the game look a little better than it probably actually was.
Right. Clemson's post-game win expectancy was actually 85%. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That means if that game, if both teams put up the same statistical output, game played out, if you played it 100 times, Clemson would win 85 of those 100 times.